Hey everybody, welcome to the Tom Parsley channel. I'm Tom, and just like Parsley, we get into a little bit of everything. So where are we today? Well, I can tell you one thing, we are not on Long Island anymore. We're not at sea level, and we are not on the East Coast at all. So where are we? We are in Colorado. We're about 10,000 feet up. We're in a place called Echo Lake. Let me turn you around so you can see where we are. So you can kind of see over there in the background, we got some mountains. So let's walk a little bit this way. Let me show you the signage we got here and where we were. This is a little structure over here. So yeah, so we're 10,000 feet up. We're in the Rocky Mountains, the eastern flank of the Rocky Mountains, and we're at Echo Lake. So Echo Lake is right over here. This is where we are right here. There is a road that goes up to what was Mount Evans, is now called Mount Blue Sky. And there's a trail map right there. I'll pause it there so you can pause it and take a look. So we're right here. We're going to just take a little walk around the lake over here and back. And what's interesting is where we are. We're about 45 minutes. Let me make sure I'm not in the sun here. We're about 45 minutes outside of Denver. We're in between a town called Idaho Springs, which is over there, and Evergreen, Colorado, which is over there, and about 45 minutes outside of Denver, not too far. And it's beautiful up here. It's a beautiful blue sky day. It's not too cold. It's actually about 40 degrees. It is pretty windy, so hopefully my windscreen is working here. And some rangers here are actually doing some work, so if you hear some saws going, they're doing some work out here. But what's interesting is that this whole park is owned and operated by the city of Denver. So I don't know why that is, but it is. So let me just show you a little bit of panorama where we are here. So the lake is frozen, and let me see if I could zoom in a little bit over there. Let me go 1, 2, let's go all the way to 5. So there's a Rocky Mountains right over there. We are below normal snowpack here, and usually that's all those mountain peaks are just covered in snow. Let me pan around slowly. I'm going to be going into the sun here, so it might get a little bright, but you could see that, I don't know if you can see, right over there in the distance, you can see the tree line kind of, I'm trying to stay out of the view of the sun here, but you can see where the tree line kind of stops, and the tops of the mountains kind of continue there, but that's the ridge right over there. Let's go back. There we go. And let's go back down here. There we go. Right down that way there is the road that goes up to Mount Blue Sky. Mount Blue Sky is up over there. The tree line kind of ends over there. And it gets to about, I don't know what the elevation is. Let me see if it says it over here. I'm not sure if it does, but the summit over there, I think it's about 14,000 feet. If I'll put it down right over here, what the elevation is to the summit here. So there's 2 trails here. We're at a trailhead, the Echo Lake Trail or the Chicago Lakes Trail. So if we go back here, the Chicago Lakes Trail kind of goes here and eventually goes to Mount Evans, Mount Blue Sky. We're not going to do that today because we're not really prepared for a long hike. But you can see that the trail here doesn't have that much snow. Lake is pretty frozen. And I'll give you a moment of zen, see if we could hear any of the ice booming. I don't know if you heard that, but the ice is definitely moving, making that unique ice sound as it moves. So yeah, so we're about 10,000 feet up. We're going to talk a little bit about conifers, how to tell the difference between the conifers, because there's three different major conifers that are found up here. And we're just going to take a little walk and continue down along the trail. So come along with me. So this is a really nice place to stop. It's really quiet. You can really hear the ice booming behind me. I don't know if my microphone will pick it up. We just passed the rangers back there doing some maintenance work on the fences that are over here. I'll turn you around in a minute. Too bad you don't have smell-o-vision because it smells like Christmas trees over here. So let's talk about conifers. The three major types of conifers. We got pines, we got, let me get the sun behind my head here. We got pines, we got firs, and we got spruces. And there's a little mnemonic device to kind of remember the difference between all three. And then of course there's others, there's cedars, there's junipers and cypress, but we're just going to talk about those three major types. So firs are flat, pines are in packets, and spruces are square. So let me turn you around and take a look at this tree right over here. So we've got, if we kind of zoom in a little bit here, let's see if you can see, yeah, here we go. So the spruce needles is what we're talking about here. So you can kind of see in cross section, these needles are square, and if you touch them, they're kind of sharp. So when you get kind of stuck a little bit, you know that this is a spruce. So the needles are square. Let me see if you can kind of zoom in on that and see that this right here is a spruce, and all of these are all spruces over here. All of these, most of these are predominantly all spruces. There's really no deciduous trees up here, and if you look, we kind of talked a little bit about that before. Right over there is the tree line. So the trees, and the sun's right there, so I'm trying to get out of the sun. But the tree line is right about over there, and the top part of that mountain, let me just kind of block the sun a little bit, is what would be known as alpine environment up there. No trees, very bare, very cold, very exposed. So you need a little bit of different gear when you're doing a little hiking up there. So we're going to continue down this trail a little bit, and let's see if we see any different trees. So here's another one of our conifers. This is a pine, and remember how to tell a pine? Pines are in packets. So if you look really carefully here, let me see if I could zoom in a little bit. You could see that the needles are in packets. In this particular pine, it's in bundles of, I can't really tell if it's 2 or 3, but this is a pine tree. The one we saw before is a spruce, like all those back over here. These are all spruces, and this is a pine tree. So let's talk a little bit about, let me first get down here without slipping. Let's talk a little bit about where we are and why I'm here, and this hat. See the hat? See the E on the hat? See if anybody can tell in the comments, put it down in the comments what the E stands for in the hat, see if you know. So I'm visiting some of the Parsley family here. Some of the Parsley family lives here in Colorado, and came here for the holidays to come and visit. We're about late December, and it's actually warm. It's almost in the 40s. It's definitely above freezing. But what's cool is that the snow is still squeaky. So I don't know if you can hear, but it's still slightly squeaky. So we've got two kinds of conditions when it comes to winter hiking and winter prep and clothing. It's cold and dry and cold and wet. Now, because the temperature is a little bit above freezing, it's actually, this thing that I have over my ears, it's actually a little too much, because now that I'm in the sun, I'm starting to warm up, and wearing black helps too because it absorbs the sun's radiation. Anyway, cold and wet, cold and dry. Cold and dry, you don't really have to worry about getting wet from your environment, but you do have to worry about getting wet from you perspiring. So clothing choices are very, very important. So either way, cold and wet, cold and dry, you don't want cotton to be right on your skin. You want natural fibers on your skin. So that means merino wool, silk. But if you're vegan, then you want to go with some kind of polyester nylon material to put right against your skin to kind of wick that moisture away, because you don't want moisture right up against your skin, because once that moisture freezes, it freezes on your skin, and that's how you can get frostbite, and you don't want frostbite. That's bad. So I'm trying to avoid people here. There's some people kind of in and out, so as I see them walking on the trail both ways, I just kind of stop a little bit and pause. But right up over here, let me turn you around. We've got a fork in the road. So as we're going down this trail here, you could see the signage. Over to the right, we've got the Chicago Lakes Trail going, and that goes all the way to Mount Blue Sky. It's a very long hike, and it's a little treacherous, especially now, because I don't have my gear here. I have my Keens on, but I don't have my micro spikes on. But you do need micro spikes when you're doing something like this. I just didn't bring them because because I didn't. And then this trail kind of continues along Echo Lake. So we're just going to continue a little bit further down this way. Okay, here's another pine tree. You see here that the needles, pines are in packets. We've got bundles. So this is another pine. So we've got so far pines and spruces. So if we look at this one over here, we've got a spruce over here. And I believe, I don't know my spruces too well, but I think this is a blue spruce given the color here, because this is a very common spruce up here. But you can see spruces are square. All right, so we're going to continue down along the trail. Oh, look, a little snowman. Let's go take a look at him. And try to listen for the squeaky snow. So that squeaky snow is indicative of cold, dry conditions. There's a little snowman. Pretty cool. Hi, is it frosty? I don't know. Oh, he is frosty. Jeez, he's solid. All right. Okay, so we're gonna continue that way. That was the road we just came in on over there, and here's some people coming down the trail, so we're just gonna pause it and get to another spot. So one of the things that you're gonna notice as you're walking through here, especially in snow, is how do you know that you're on a trail? Because this trail isn't really blazed, and without snow, you could clearly tell that you're on a trail. But in snow, it's really hard, especially if you're going on a trail that isn't really used a lot. So what you want to do is you want to look down and see the footprints. This is a heavily used trail, so you want to follow the footprints. Like over here, there's really no footprints to follow over here. But here, I can tell that I'm clearly on a trail because I see lots of footprints. There's really no trail blazes, but also I know that the trail follows the lake. So the lake is over here. So as long as I keep the lake on my left, I know that I'm on the trail. So you can see the footprints kind of following along here. And again, all of these conifers, so we've got, when we look over here, these are more spruces. Spruces are square, firs are flat. I haven't come across any firs yet, so far we've got spruces and pines, because pines are in packets. Remember, pines are in bundles. So we're gonna walk a little ways down this way. Isn't this nice in here? All these spruces and conifers, and it's so quiet in here. There's lots of birds. There's some birds kind of flitting around over there. All right, so let's continue down the trail. All right, so we did another little stop over here right by the lake. So 10,000 feet up, little out of breath, right? You gotta make sure when you're doing any kind of high altitude. So 10,000 feet, we're about 2 miles above sea level, and physical exertion, you could get out of breath very easily. You get dehydrated very, very fast because it's so cold and dry. I checked the humidity. Humidity is about 45%, so it's less than half. So less than half of the air that I'm breathing right now is water vapor, so it's very, very dry. And you could hear my voice that I'm kind of, I'm a little out of breath, because the more I talk, the more I'm breathing, more oxygen, you know, all that stuff. So you want to prep yourself for this high altitude exertion. You definitely want to hydrate as much as you possibly can. Keep drinking, and just take it slow. There's no reason to go fast. There's no reason to, you know, go far out as you possibly can. Just take it slow, take it easy. Don't exert yourself too much, because you don't want to go too far. You want to be comfortable where you are. The car is not far. The car is basically back over here. I'm not going too far because I don't have, just coming out here, just making some videos, kind of showing you a little bit of the Colorado wilderness, high altitude. So I'm not going too far. If I was going far, I would have, which we'll get into in a minute, the essentials that you would need. Because notice I don't have a backpack on, because the car is basically right here. So 10,000 feet up, you want to have a lot of water. You want to hydrate. You want to breathe deep. Get a lot of air in your lungs. Now, one of the things they sell over here are these bottles of oxygen, which if you're a skier, you know, you're getting a little higher up, you may want to get that little burst of oxygen just to keep you going. And what's interesting is when you pick up these cans to buy, you're like, these cans are empty. There's nothing in here. don't forget oxygen weighs less. So even though the can feels empty, it is full of oxygen. I haven't used it yet, but I do see them for sale in the convenience stores. I did see some people walking on the ice before. I don't know how thick the ice is. Here, let me turn you around. I don't know how thick the ice is. I'm sure it's plenty thick, but I'm not going to chance it, especially that I'm out here alone and I don't want to fall through the ice. But this is all Echo Lake all over here. And in the spring and summer, it's really nice. Right over there in the distance is the gatehouse to drive up to Mount Blue Sky. There's also a campground over there. And there used to be a really nice restaurant over there that's not open anymore, unfortunately. So we're going to continue down a trail a little bit and see where... I mean, I couldn't stop, right? I mean, I had it stop. It's so pretty in here. The wind blowing through the trees. Some chickadees in the background. Kind of the ice moving in the background. Oh, another bird. So pretty here. All right, I've been walking through the trail a little bit on the way back, trying to find our third conifer, because we did spruces, we did pines. Oh, and there's some squirrels running around over there. That's the chattering you hear in the background. So we did pines, we did spruces, and I was looking for the elusive fir, and I finally found a fir over here, right over here. So let me turn you around. So remember, firs are flat, so they're very soft. So this is a fir. So you can see the needles are flat. Let me kind of zoom in a little bit. Firs are flat. The needles are flat. They're soft. This is what you would consider like a Christmas tree, these firs. So now we saw all three. And we've got spruces over here. The pine was all the way back there. So we've got pines, spruces, firs. Now, fun fact, Douglas fir. I know a lot of people think Douglas fir Christmas tree. Douglas fir is not a fir. It's just called a fir. It's in its own class. It's in its own separate, because it's the Latin name I think is Pseudotsuga. I think I'll put it down here if I remember. It's called a false hemlock, because hemlocks look like firs, but they're not firs. Yews, Y-E-W, look like firs, but they're not firs. Cypress, redwoods, cedars, they all kind of have that fir look, but they're not firs. They're totally different. They are conifers, but they're not pine, spruce, or fir. So they're all different. So we're going to kind of head back, and you can see that even though there's no trailblazes here, there is some signage. So we know that, yes, we are on a trail, and that the Chicago Lakes Trail kind of continues that way to connect to it, or we can go back to the Echo Lake Trail. And also how you know that you're on a trail. We talked about following footprints before. Just look at look at the ground. This ground is like kind of gravel-y, for lack of a better word. So it's pretty flat, pretty easy to walk on, and you know that you're on a trail because it's got this kind of surface to it. All right, so we're going to head back, find a nice sunny spot, and we'll talk about essential gear for hiking. Isn't it so cool in here? And it's echoey, so I'm going to try to keep my voice down a little bit. There's fireplaces in here, so you can, I guess, start a fire and keep warm, but don't start a fire when there's a fire watch. And it's pretty cool. You can see right out and see the mountain right out here. It's really neat. Anyway, so let's talk about what you should bring with you when you're doing any kind of hiking, whether it's winter, summer, spring, fall, day hiking, overnight hiking, week-long hiking, whatever it is. Also keeping an eye out for people. If anybody walks by me, I'll just pause it, or I'll just keep going, whatever. One of the most important things you have to do when you're doing any kind of hike, day hike, overnight, is in kayaking and canoeing, we call it a float plan. So you want to tell people where you're going. So I'm going here, I'm going to stay for this long, this is where the car is going to be parked, because you can't rely on cell phone. Like here, there's no cell phone signal. So even if I were in some kind of emergency, I couldn't call anybody because there's no cell phone signal. So I did tell people, some of the Parsley family back at home base, where I'm going, how long I'm going to be. So just God forbid something happened, they would be able to send out a search party. But definitely, first thing you want to do is tell people where you're going. So in kayaking, canoeing, call it a float plan. And there's something called the 10 essentials, 12 essentials of what to bring with you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a series of videos on all of these essentials that you should have with you for day hike, overnight hike, any kind of hiking that you're going to do. And just quickly, I'm just going to list them all, and then as I list them, I'm just going to talk a little bit about each one. So map and compass, you got to know how to use a compass. At least it'll tell you where you are, and if you mark where you started on the map, then you can go to there if you know how to use a map and compass. So it's a lost art using a compass, because we all have phones, we all have GPS, we all figure, I'll just use my phone. But sometimes there's no signal, so you have to know how to use a physical paper map that you either print out at home or take a picture of with your phone. But again, with your phone, your battery might die. So have a physical paper map is really important, and a compass, and know how to use it. So we're gonna do a separate video on that. Sun protection, I do have a hat on. I did put suntan lotion on, SPF 50 on my face, because that's what was exposed, everything else wasn't, especially in winter, because the sun is out and the sun reflects off the snow. Snow is very reflective, and you want to make sure that you protect your skin with sun protection. Extra clothing, socks, very important to bring an extra pair of socks, because as you're walking, let's say I went into the lake and the ice was thin, and I stepped in and went right into ice cold freezing water, my socks would be soaking wet, and that would be a very, very bad thing. So you want to make sure you have an extra pair of socks with you, extra gloves, extra hat, maybe jacket, something to have with you in a little backpack behind you here. A little flashlight, a little pen light, just in case, you get stuck. It's at night, you want to be able to see where you're going at night. If you get lost, you're trying to get back out, always have a flashlight, headlamp, or something to provide that. Again, don't rely on your phone as your flashlight, because the battery might be dead. A little first aid kit, and it's personalized, whatever you think you might need. A little tape for blisters, Band-Aids, antiseptic wipes, things like that. And I'll go into what should be in a first aid kit. Lighter, matches, fire starter, very important to have with you, because if you want to start a fire, you can at least have something, a signal fire, or to keep yourself warm. One of the things you should read if you want to know how important it is to have matches or lighters with you is Jack London to start a fire. It's a really good story, so I encourage you to read that. Some kind of knife or multi-tool like a Leatherman. It's always good to have some kind of saw, knife, scissors, pliers, something with you, so in case you do have to start a fire, you can make a little tinder with that knife. Water is super important. I have a bottle of water in my back pocket that I've been kind of sipping on, because we're 10,000 feet up and dehydrates very, very fast that high up. Shelter, a little tube tent, maybe a little tarp, or something that if you had to stay the night, you can shelter out in the woods, or you could just build a shelter, and we'll do a little video on that. Some way to signal, a whistle is the best, because your voice screaming, you're gonna kill your voice in no time. So a whistle is very important. And the universal distress signal is 3 short blasts, 1, 2, 3 on a whistle. Anybody who hears that knows, okay, something's wrong. Let me go to that sound of the whistle. Let me check my notes here if I have anything else here. And then winter essentials, clothing, super important. Don't have cotton right up against your skin, because you are gonna sweat as you're exerting yourself. You're gonna sweat a lot, and your socks will get soaking wet. Your underwear is gonna get soaking wet. Your shirt's gonna get soaking wet from sweat. So you don't want cotton. You want something that's gonna wick that moisture away from your skin. So merino wool, excellent. Silk, excellent. But again, if you're a vegan, you're not gonna use that. So you're gonna wanna use some kind of form of polyester, nylon to wick all that moisture away. Cotton, no cotton right on your skin, because cotton's gonna get wet, it will freeze, and it will freeze your skin. But cotton as outerwear, like at the outer part, is great, because it will vent that moisture right out. Even though if it freezes, you just shake it out, get all the ice crystals off, it's perfect. So the Swedish army actually uses outerwear made of 100% cotton, and the Swedes know they're cold. And then I talked a little bit about it while we're out here before. I didn't bring my microspikes because I didn't think I would be out here that long. And I know this trail. I know that it's flat and even, and I know it's not very slippery, but with snowpack, as people walk on it, they compress that snow, and as it freezes, thaws, freezes, thaws, freezes, thaws, it becomes like ice. And you need those microspikes, those little crampons on the bottoms of your shoes to grip the ice, because one slip and down you go, and if you break something while you're out here, you got to get yourself out. So it's going to be hard to do that. So just be careful while you're out there. Trekking poles are really important for stability, and clothing is very important. Like I said, that merino wool, the silk, the fleece outerwear. Like this is a Columbia interchange jacket. It's got a fleece inside. This is merino wool covering my ears. This is just polyester hat. And it's not that cold out today. It's above freezing, so it's about 40 degrees, so it's not that cold. And the sun is out, and it's really nice. But it's so pretty here, so I encourage you to get out there and do some stuff out there. So thank you all. This is the Tom Parsley channel, reminding you to 3 things: like, comment, subscribe. I'm on all the socials, and we're in Colorado, 10,000 feet up. You never know what you're going to get at the Tom Parsley channel. So I'm Tom. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you on the next video.